Taming the Demon by Almia Levskira. Chapter 20. To Black Panther. The kid twisted his shoulder upon landing, which immediately set off some weird alarm in the blonde's head. "He's hurt! He's hurt!" and made him limit the number of times the kid could use the new move in a game. The blonde really did not like seeing the kid in pain. He was debating how to properly bandage the kid without the manager noticing anything when Banba walked over. In his eyes, the fact that Damon had forced a tie under such disadvantageous circumstances was absolutely amazing. As a result, the Tayo team would forfeit the right to play the Americans. Icing on the cake, in Hiruma's opinion. After some celebratory yelling through a megaphone, the blonde sent Anizaki off to refill water bottles and dragged Sena off behind the change rooms. The rat's face turned a few shades of red upon the demand to strip, but he complied without a word of protest. Interesting. As the older athlete bandaged the kid's shoulder, talking him through it step by step so he could do it himself, the blonde noticed a slightly dazed look in those two big eyes. He snapped at the boy for not paying attention, and the brat blushed again as he stumbled over an apology. I'm sorry. It's just, I like your hands, Hiruma-san. They're bigger than mine, but not as much in a fist, you know? And they're gentle, so it's nice. The boy smiled shyly at his upperclassman and thanked him for the bandaging. Said upperclassman smirked back and told the kid to put his shirt back on. It was time to go to Enoshima. The blonde got a serious kick out of the fact that the manager actually made a picture story show to explain the history of Shinryuji to Sena and the others. On one hand, she'd make a great kindergarten teacher. On the other, he's 16! It was even funnier when she chastised Sena for calling her on her less than perfect drawings. Shortly after, Hiruma made the kid go change into Aisho 21 to capitalize on the many reporters hanging around. Failure on that front was foretold by Anizaki's decision to join him for whatever reason. Such a fact did not stop the blonde raging at him for not getting changed. The blonde only let up after he saw that something happened in the time he was gone that had triggered Demon, and Demon was still awake. So he made a tactical retreat and changed the subject to the cornerback Hosokawa Ikkyu. The most interesting thing they heard that day, though, had to be the name of Ojo's new battle strategy, the Ballista. The White Knights didn't use it for some reason, and Shinryuji won that day. Hiruma would never admit it to anybody, but he held a lot of respect for Kongo Unsui. They were similar in many ways. Average physique, fast and adaptable thinkers, and undying determination to win. On top of that, the bald quarterback had to deal with the dreads 24/7 since birth. If anything got you Hiruma Yoichi's respect, it was that. Speaking of the dreads, he just pitched a football at a kid in a wheelchair. Isn't that typical? The blonde alternated between wondering how they had ever really worked together and debating whether or not Hiruma himself had been a gun's outlet for violence. Hopefully yes, because then he'd have been less likely to beat on children. Hiruma was a foul person, but even he had limits. Saving the smaller boy apparently dispelled whatever was keeping Demon at the surface, so the running back was now safe to intimidate again. Additionally, it appeared that the monkey caught the attention of Ikkyu. That would become quite the rivalry, anyone could see. But that was for the fall tournament. The most important thing to think about now was the game against the Americans tomorrow. Or not, because the coach of the NASA aliens was a racist son of a bitch. What the idiotic Coach Apollo did not understand was that one did not simply blow off the double bats. It's movie time! By the time Hiruma was done, not only had Apollo agreed to play them the following month, but had also declared that the NASA aliens would not return to America if they did not win by at least 10 points. The blonde graciously accepted the bet by saying in turn that if the Devil Bats did not win by at least 10 points, then they would leave Japan. Such a deal proved to be quite an incentive to practice. The brothers came out repeatedly without being called. The Baldy ran laps until 2 in the morning. Even the kid kept trying to ward off Anazaki's mothering. With limited success, he trips backwards and she decorates his head with band-aids. What the heck? It was decided that each of the three brothers would get his own locker. But why, oh why, did the manager have to pick up that kick-tea? It's Musashi's property. If she'd looked, she'd have seen that it was in his locker. Fuck it all. Now the kids were asking questions that Hiruma did not want to answer. The visit from Bando's Sasaki Kotaru just rubbed salt on the wound because now the kids were really curious. Of course they were. Anyone would be curious about an upperclassman called the 60-yard Magnum. The blonde knew that they may go looking for Musashi, not that they'd ever find him, even as he built a new kennel for Cerberus after the Taiyo Tai. But what Hiruma did not know was that the whole time Sena was searching through scrapbooks and student records, he was thinking about his captain smiling at him for getting back an old teammate. Of course, the blonde never counted on Musashi coming out and admitting who he was. But he did, so there was no point dwelling on it. It was time to teach the team about defense. The quarterback had a feeling that when Sena was introduced to Panther, it would be a repeat of when he met Shin. Sure enough, the kid's eyes zeroed in on the dark-skinned ball boy on the screen and stayed there. Hiruma felt that same irritation as the day of the Ojo game, and this time he was starting to figure out why. He found the kid, therefore he should have a monopoly on the kid's attention. He knew and made himself known to sides of the boy that Sena didn't even know were there. He could read the boy like a child's book and devoted more than half of his energy towards the brat's handling. He was gentler than normal and put up with regular hassles for the kid. Shin couldn't put that kind of claim on the running back, nor could Panther, or even Anazaki, despite knowing Sena the longest. Sena belonged to Hiruma. This was a fact. And there was nothing anybody could do about it.